Hello everyone, welcome to the Purple Pennies weekly coin news video. I think this is the 18th one of these that we've done this year. Back to our hopefully more regular time of Mondays at 12 p.m. The week here has been busy as always. I've been out this morning picking up coin albums that we sell inside the shop here, and getting a gear knob replaced on a car, and trying to get our expressions of interest together ready for the June mint releases. Catherine's been here since about 7:30 packaging, and she's still going. We had a very strong sales day on the website yesterday. Lots of orders with lots of items, which usually takes quite a while to get into boxes. The dog's here. She's finished school and only goes into guide dog school one day a week now. They're just trying to find a client for her, so she'll be leaving us sometime soon, and we'll get a new dog after that. Sorry, I'm just looking at her because she's asleep right by the door there. Business in the shop last week was excellent. It was very busy. Saturday was busy, and lots of buying, lots of selling, and lots of really lovely people in here. Catherine and I had a good week and enjoyed it very much. Interestingly enough, I believe this week is our second birthday of opening the shop. Doesn't seem like it's been 2 years, but has been 2 years since we opened. It's been an interesting journey. We're learning a lot along the way, and we're still learning now. I think we've continue to grow as we're doing this, and we're always trying to do the best for us and the best for our customers, and to enjoy ourselves as much as possible. And the 2 years has been certainly an interesting journey, much busier than anyone could have imagined, and not necessarily in terms of sales, but just in how many hours it takes to keep a business like this running. Many hours of the week, including most weekends. So yeah, it's been a fun 2 years. So let's say some hellos to people, because we've got a bunch of people who have said hello already here. Mike, Paul, Kirker, Gary, Val, Jason, Brendan, Brett, Michael, Mike Ellery again. I think you already said hello, Mike. Tony, Jeremy Rekoff from Canada. Hello from Canada. It's great to have someone from Canada watching. Canada's a very probably the country in the world, apart from being cold, closest to Australia in terms of the how lovely the people are. So hello Jeremy from Canada, and hello Glennis, and Brendan Aliff has just said that he has got a G coloured dollar. So unless you've been, I'll just say hello to David and Edward Blackwood, who of course has another name, Dwayne. It's good to see you, Dwayne. We haven't seen you in the shop for a little while. It'll be good for you to come back in. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would probably know that Australia Post released the Great Australian Coin Hunt 2 today. It was in the papers on the weekend, with a big lift out in the papers, and it was on the Today Show this morning. No doubt it will be on the news tonight. It's an Australia Post product. Obviously they are minted by the Mint, but it is an Australia Post product, and I believe that the people other than Australia Post are distributing it on their behalf, including the Mint. It's being released in a number of different ways. You can buy a folder, and a tube. You can buy an aluminium bronze proof set, you can buy a silver proof set, and you can also buy the coins individually in little square cards. And if you go to Australia Post and buy things over the counter for cash, then you can get the coins in change. And no doubt there will be people on Facebook selling security bags of these, people that have contacts inside banks and Australia Post selling security bags of these. I will just counsel everyone, as always, do not overpay for new release products. There'll be plenty of supply of these things. Look back at the Great Australian Coin Hunt 1, there was no shortage of those tubes and albums. Certainly the aluminium bronze sets and silver sets might be a little hard to find, because the mintages of those are tiny. So if you want one of those, you better get out and get one of those. Now, like last time with the Great Australian Coin Hunt 1, each tube had a chance of there being a special coin in there. It was the A coin, A for Australia Post. There could have been an envelope on there. It was called an envelope privy. I think it was 1 in 10 or something like that. Tubes had them, and of course everyone cracked their tubes open to try and get that special coin. This time the special coin is a coloured coin. It's the Gold Coast coin, G for the Gold Coast. So, you know, if you're into that sort of thing, then break your tubes open and see if you find your special coin, G for Gold Coast. You know, presumably that will be worth more in the long run. Whether it's worth the $200 odd that the envelope privy is, I don't know. And just do keep in mind that the Australia Post released the envelope privy on a PNC last time, so there is a good chance that the coloured Gold Coast coin will be on a PNC as well. We do have some of the tube and folder sets available here in the shop for people who want to come in. We're not mailing them. The margins are about that big, and it's just not worth the time putting them into boxes and sending them out. It's unfortunate, but you know, Australia Post didn't offer. Oh, it's G for Great Barrier Reef. Thank you, Dwayne. It's G for Great Barrier Reef. Don't listen to me. It's not G for Gold Coast. It's G for Great Barrier Reef is the coloured coin that you might find. Anyway, Australia Post only offered a very small reseller discount on them, so we're not mailing them out. Apologies for that, those people out there, but you should be able to find them at your post office. I believe you can buy them via various other dealers online who perhaps are taking the time to mail them out. Anyway, we will have some sets here on Wednesday if you want to come in and grab one. Last week we talked about the June releases from the Royal Australian Mint. There were a number of those, and there were a few errors on there and some unfinalised prices. So there was a half gram 999 mini koala $2 coin, which the price for that has been finalised to $85. The wholesale allocation on those is quite small, and I think the sub $100 price point and the fact that it's a $2 might mean that if you're going to try and get one, that might be the one to get. I can't say anything about the packaging, but I can tell you the packaging is not something I have seen before from the Mint, so to keep that in mind. It's something a bit interesting, the packaging. The other item that had been revised was the Ginger Meg 2 $1 coin coloured set. It was, the price for that was initially listed at $15. It is now $30, which is probably more reasonable. It's unlikely, you're unlikely to get two coloured dollar coins for only $15, so clearly they made a mistake there. Now, the other June 3rd RAM releases were a Queen's Birthday 50 cent, a Silver Proof Queen's Birthday 50 cent, a 50 cent Battle of Long Khan coin, which has a Centurion tank on it. I'm totally into tanks, so I'm quite keen about that coin. That was $10. The Ginger Meg's two $1 set, the Ginger Meg's 2 half-ounce silver set, which I believe is $130, and then the mini $2 coin. And yes, the $2 coin, the gold $2 coin, is less than what we thought. Blake is just saying there that it's only $85, and it is quite a bit less than what we were expecting. Now, Mike has said here that that Wynyard are selling the coin tubes for above $55 for above release price. From what I understand, Mike, they are quite within their rights to do that. There was no burden put on us to sell them at a given price. We could have sold them at whatever price we like, and if they are going to mail those out, I can probably understand why they added a little bit of a margin on those to make it worthwhile, because the margin is non-existent, which is why we're not mailing them out. So, right, that's it. Oh, we go back to the coin news here. There was one point that I hadn't covered, which was that last point there about counterfeit $50 notes being found in South Australia. I mentioned this a few weeks ago that a couple had turned up, but there has apparently been almost 100 reports of counterfeit $50 notes showing up in South Australia. I believe that they are colour printed on paper, and those of you who handle $50 notes, just look out for these. The fakes are thinner, the clear windows are not clear, they are easily torn, and if it's the new generation $50 note, make sure that you tilt it in the light and you'll see the holographic underprint on the new $50 note. So just do be careful if you handle a lot of $50 notes, because there are fakes around at the moment. Now, one thing that I have forgotten to put on the slide here is that we will be closed on Saturday the 12th of June. Someone's going to correct me on whether that's actually Saturday is actually the 12th of June. Just let me check the calendar. Yes, Saturday the 12th of June, our shop here will be closed. So if you are a local here in Adelaide, do not come in and see us on Saturday the 12th of June, because we won't be here. Orders and everything will be processed as usual that weekend. We're just taking a day off to get some things done around the house. So please don't come in on the 12th of June. Hello, Peter Andrews. Thank you for joining us today, mate. Now, I just wanted to show off this picture here. It's a couple of Foy bags. And the reason for that is that we bought a nice one last week, which I really like. It's just over here sitting next to me. I'll show it to you in a minute. And those of you who are members of the Gravy Train would have seen that we did a video last Friday for the Gravy Train Purple Penny Presents competition on Foy bags. Those of you who don't know, Foy bags are these little envelopes here. Okay, and they were handed out with a 1934-1935 centenary florin by Foy and Gibson, who were a department store in all of the major capital cities in Australia. I believe Foy and Gibson were eventually bought out by Woolworths. And those of you who don't know the background to the centennial florin, which you can just see there in that bag, the centennial florin was created as part of the centenary of Victoria celebrations, and the Victorian government attempted to sell it for 3 shillings to raise money for those celebrations. It was an abject failure, and they had heaps of coins left over. I believe a number of them were melted down, and Foy and Gibson actually bought 30,000 of them at face value, and then if you went into the store and bought something, they gave you a centenary florin in your change, along in a little Foy bag, a little Foy and Gibson paper bag. Foy and Gibson paper bags come in 2 types. There's the more commonly found type, which is the one that lists off Melbourne, Collingwood, Paran. And someone from Melbourne can correct me on my pronunciation there. Perth and Adelaide on the bag. The much less common one you can see on the right of my picture there is the Perth Foy bag. Now, interestingly, even a good common Melbourne Foy bag can be worth more than the coin that's in it, and certainly a good Perth Foy bag can be worth 2 times the coin that's in it. So they're interesting bits of ephemera, interesting bits of numismatic history, and if you're here in Australia and you don't have a Foy bag, then do try to get one, because I think they're lots of fun, good things to have. Anyone who watched last week would know that I quickly ran through this slide here, which distinguished between partial collars, broad strikes and off centres, and I'll just remind you that a partial collar is a coin that had partially engaged with the collar die, and broad strikes and off centres do not engage with the collar die, and the coin being struck isn't properly centred when it's struck, or is properly centred. Depends which way, how it's struck and how the blank is aligned. And someone asked us a few weeks ago just to look at some different examples of off-centre or broad struck coins and look at relative desirability of them. So as a consequence, I pulled out some images of some 1947 florin errors, and we'll just run through those now. So this one here is I guess what would be called a ram strike, and a ram strike is a Australian colloquial term for a partial collar error. So this coin has engaged partially with the collar die and has a high lip on it. Ram strike errors are reasonably popular here in Australia. The higher the rim, the better. If you can get a ram strike that is off centre, that is obviously more desirable than a ram strike that isn't off centre, and obviously grade is comes into account. So let's have a look at a coin that's been struck out of collar and off centre. So this is a 1947 florin, and we can see that it's been struck out of collar, and we've got that sort of cupping effect there. Now that sort of baseball bat type arrangement is very desirable. People do seek after errors that look like that, and the bigger that lip, the more desirable that they are. Obviously one side of the coin is going to be more readily damaged than the other, so really the grade of that side adds greatly or detracts greatly from the value of the coin. In this case, the obverse is the side that's more easily damaged, so if you're looking for one of these, that would be the side that I would look at first. The other thing to look for is that often these coins actually jam the coin presses and need to be physically removed from them, so sometimes they have mechanical damage like gouges and things like that on them, so watch out for that. Here's another off-centre florin here. Now this one's a bit different. This one has it's a uncentered broad strike, or it's off-centre. There's been no engagement with the collar die at all. It's completely flat, so it's a slightly different type of error. Now from my point of view, it's probably visually a less spectacular error than the last one, even though the degree of off-centeredness is about the same, but without that sort of cupping or lipping or baseball cap effect there. Probably not as desirable. The grade of this one is obviously a lot lower than the last one, and as such the value would be quite a bit less too. So that's a third type of off-center error. And then we come to the fourth type, which is this one here, and this is a beauty. Again, we've got that sort of cupping baseball cap effect there. It's a reasonably high grade, and it's quite a bit further off-center than the last errors that we showed. So this would be probably the most desirable and most valuable of the four errors that we've shown. That being said, if this coin compared to a coin that was exactly the same but had a visible date, the one with the visible date would probably be the more desirable error. So if you're looking at buying an off-center error, whether that be a pre-decimal off-center error or a decimal off-center error, look for, number one is condition. Grade is always paramount. You don't want problems, you don't want it to be cleaned. Any sort of cupping or that baseball bat type of baseball cap type of effect tends to be more desirable. If it's so far off center that the date is missing, then if you have a choice between two coins, pick the one with the date that's visible, and always be aware of what side is more likely to be damaged because of the funny shape of the coin. So they would be some key things to look at if you're looking at buying errors. It's a pretty it can be a bit of a minefield, and some of those coins can be very expensive, so just be careful with what you're doing. And if you're worried about something, you're always welcome to contact Catherine and I and have a chat about these things. Right, that's it for this week. Blake says it's funny how the packaging can be worth more than the coin. Now, Blake, there is one other type of packaging for the Centenary Florin, which is called the You Are the Star box, and those sell for comfortably $800 to $1,000. Now, they are very valuable, generally always worth more than the coin that is in them. There's very few of them still remaining around, so it's not the only example of packaging being worth more than the coin. So that's it, folks. Hopefully we see a few of you Adelaide locals on Wednesday to pick up your Great Australian Coin Hunt set. As always, if you've got anything that you want me to talk about in these videos, please send us a message or give us a call, or send up a smoke signal or whatever it is, and let me know what it is. I always like to have content to talk about. and happy collecting. Everyone stay safe and healthy for the coming week, and we'll be back next Monday. Bye for now.